Now I'm going to demonstrate how we can create for API from Open API definition. So if you look at demo script in A1 section, there was a requirement to create API from available Open API definition. And during this demonstration flow, I will also discuss about the API mediation, which is C2 in demo script. And also I'll discuss about F3, which is caching configurations for API. Okay. So let me go to API creation. So when you try to create API in API Manager, you have multiple options. You can create REST API, SOAP API, GraphQL, Streaming API, or you can create API from the service catalog. So for this demonstration, I am going to open uh, import open API option. Then I'll select file upload option. I have already created train schedule API. I'm going to click on that. I'll go ahead with next steps. I'll give simple name. Schedule. Okay. So now I have created my API. Uh, Once you create API, you will be directed to API overview page. So in the API overview page, you can see now API is in developed state. Once you complete the development, you can deploy your API, then you can test your API, and finally you can publish your API. Like I mentioned earlier, when you create API, you will be routed to this journey. So basically, uh, first you can develop, then you can deploy, then try, and then publish. So in your left menu, you see all these options. So first I'll go to develop flow, and under that I'll expand portal configuration, and I'll go to basic configuration. So in basic configuration, you can provide the API description, and you can upload the image for your API. Then you can set who can see your API, visibility tags, that information you can set here. Then you can go to business information. Business information, we can provide the information like who is the business owner, technical owner, their email addresses, that sort of information you can provide. So then you can look at subscription. You can see subscription. So in subscriptions, we have different subscription business plans we have in API Manager. So you can select some of them. So these are the business plan associated with your API. And by the time someone consume your API, they need to subscribe to one of these business plans. Okay. So then you can add the document for your API. You can provide the name summary, and you can upload your document. If need, you can provide the URL as well for your document. So then this is the comment section. So in comment section, you can type comment, and also you can see comments about your API from others. And you can keep replying to them, and you can build some sort of knowledge base around your API through this commenting feature. Then let me go to runtime configuration or the API configurations path. First, I'll expand the runtime configuration. So in the runtime configuration section, we have structured into three parts. That is request, response, and the fault path. So if I go to request path first, then you can see we have transport level security. You can enable, disable HTTP, HTTPS, mutual SSL under that. Then you can see application level security. Basically, you can select any security mechanism that we have here, and you can have multiple of them at any given time as well. And then you can select key managers here. So as of now, I have only one key manager. So if you have more than one key manager, you can select them here. Then you can go to post configuration of your API. You can enable, disable post configuration with this one. Then it will enable that for your API. So then we have schema validation feature. So the schema validation feature, what we do is, along with the API, we usually upload Open API definition. In this Open API definition, we have some models which specifies how our request and response messages look like. So basically, they have some sort of format. So once you enable this format feature, we will check for the Open API definition and check your request against the defined model and do some sort of validation. and decide whether we need to pass this request to backend or stop it there. Okay, that's it. So then message mediation feature. So here you can associate already available policies. So these policies allows you to change the message format. You can do a simple conversion to JSON to XML, XML to JSON, that sort of thing you can do. And you can do some header modification. You can log the message, and you can do the XML and JSON validations as well. So let me open one of these and show how it works. So I'm going to open JSON validator. So if you look at this configuration, you can see we can set certain properties related to JSON messages. So we can set max property count, max string length, max array element count. That sort of information we can provide with this configuration. So once you provided this configuration, what it does is in the request path, we do this validation for your request, and based on the outcome, we can decide whether we need to let that request to go to backend or not. Uh, with this feature, we can block common attacks like entity expansion, cohesive parsing, XML bomb sort of attack. In addition to that, with regex policy, you can prevent some SQL injections and the malicious payload injection, that sort of attacks also you can detect. So then this is the response part. In the response part also we have mediation capability, and something similar to that we have some defined ones. And if you need some more capabilities, you can always write your own custom mediation policy and upload that. So it's very easy to write one, and then you can upload that. So then this is how we can enable disable caching. So like I mentioned early, in the demonstration F3 section, there's a requirement to demonstrate the caching capability. So this is how we enable the caching, and then you can set caching timeout here. Then API gateway will cache your request. So something similar to previous two. In the fault flow also we have custom mediation support. Okay. So then I'll go to resources. So these are the different resources we have in our API. So we can enable, disable security for them. We can set the throttling policies. We can set the scopes per resource basis, and you can provide some description about your resources as well. So then let me go to API definition. So this is my API definition, and here you can see your open API definition. You can edit it, modify it, and you can convert and download it. So then this is my endpoint section. So in the endpoint section, we have different endpoint options. You can create API with HTTP or REST endpoint. You can have SOAP endpoint. You can have dynamic endpoint. You can have prototype endpoint, or you can do a prototype implementation here itself. And also you can go ahead with AWS Lambda. And regarding the endpoint configuration, you can provide different configuration related to your endpoint, suspension, duration, timeout status. So likewise, you can provide the configuration. In addition to that, if you need any certificates to communicate with your backend, then you can upload those certificates here. So we will do SSL communication with your backend. And then in addition to that, we have load balancing and failover capabilities as well in API gateway. So if you have more than one endpoint, you can load balance across them, or you can configure them in a failover manner. So when routing happens, it will take care about that part. Okay. So then we have scopes feature. So scopes are associated with the resources, and scope also associated with the roles. So with that, we can define and implement fine grained access control for your API resources. So you can provide the scope and set of roles associated with that. So by the time we invoke that resource, we will do cross-check against the provided token and the scopes enabled for this one. Then inside the API properties, you can provide different properties for your API. So if you need any additional properties other than what we have, you can use this feature. So then API monetization feature will, you can see it here. So I'm not going to discuss about this because in later section, we will discuss about this detail. Okay. So then let me go to deployment section. So here I have two different gateway environment I have configured, and I am going to select one of them. I'm going to deploy this to hybrid gateway. and I'm going to deploy my API. So you can see once I click on deployment, it creates the revision and it deploy into API gateway. So something similar to this one. If you need to create any other revision, so for example, if you want to create revision 2, then you can select gateway and then you can deploy this gateway. So likewise, you can deploy different revisions into different gateways for the same API. So there are certain advantages. So with the changes you make to API, it won't affect the API gateway runtime. And also, uh, at any point, if you see something went wrong with your current API deployed revision, then you can always fall back to previous revision. So these are the features associated with this API revision concept. Okay. So now my API development completed, deployment completed. So now I'm going to test my API. So to test out, I'm going to go to try out option. So here I can generate key. So this is the internal key which allows API developers to test their APIs. And then I'm going to this one and I can try my API. So I'll execute this one and see the response. Uh, once I see the proper response, then I can move ahead with next one. Then I can, once I test and verify, I can go to API lifecycle option and then I can make this API publish. So once we publish this API, it will be appearing API developer portal and your API consumer can consume this API. So once you click there, you will be redirected to developer portal and then you can use this API in the developer portal itself. So now you can see this API is available now. If you need to try out this API, then you can go ahead and try out this API.